Hey everyone, so this is a Dodge Grand Caravan knockoff that I made a couple months ago or weeks ago. I don't remember, it's been a while. It has a 470 horsepower Hemi V8 5.7 liters that we are going to turn into an electric engine instead, or electric motor, I guess. And then we're going to take it up Pikes Peak and see how it does. I figured that today we would be using the Grand Caravan, or Grand Caravana, or I Don't Caravan as I've called it. It has a lot of names because it's just a very unorthodox car to see on something like Pikes Peak, so I've cloned it and we're gonna make some significant mods. So this van is a little bit heavy. It's 2,060 kilos, which is about 4,500 pounds, just over that. A little bit of weight to it, most of it at the front. It is front wheel drive, but we are gonna have to make a few changes to get it ready for the hill climb because I actually want it to be fast and handle well and all that sort of stuff. I was debating on whether or not we should keep it front wheel drive, and the answer to that is yes. It's going to be a weird front wheel drive hill climb car, basically pulling itself up the entire mountain. I'm very excited about this. By the way, if you're not subscribed to this channel, you definitely should be. Next week, I'm actually going to be building a sim rig, so get hyped for that. I actually need to do that this week, and then there'll be a video on it next week if I can finish it in time. But I have some partners with it, and we've created something interesting, and I'm hopeful that you'll be interested to see it, because we're going to be trying out stuff like this in BeamNG with a bit more finesse instead of just my Xbox controller days, which I've been doing for a long time now. Plus, it's going to be big for showcases, so lots of good stuff coming up. I'm always trying to make things interesting here, and this is just one of the ways. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it out of carbon fiber. Let's go partial carbon fiber. Immediately, this is going to cut a bunch of weight off the chassis. You can see we've dropped like 200, actually that's like 310 kilos off already, which is a significant amount of weight. That's more than 10% of the weight gone. We're going to keep her made out of monocoque, and the chassis I'm going to also make out of carbon fiber. Let's just go all but carbon fiber, like what the heck. Full quality, at this point I don't care, let's just do it. And front suspension, let's go double wishbone. And the back, I kind of want to do push rods. It's no longer a family vehicle. Things have changed. So the engine is an interesting thing. I actually kind of want to keep it the exact same as it is. 470 horsepower, Hemi V8 is 5.7 liters, cast iron V8. Let's actually make that aluminum just for weight reduction purposes. And I don't think that'll do anything to its other bits. But it's a sort of low revving, high horsepower V8, and I'm kind of fine with that. The thing that we need to consider most of all with the electric stuff is actually the gearing. It needs to have very short gearing, otherwise it's just not going to work at all in BeamNG. Although we can adjust gearing in BeamNG, so I will take that advantage. Onto the body, paint, we'll come back to that. For now it's going to stay white. And yeah, fixtures, this is where things get weird, because it's time to make some changes. So before we get into that, I'm just going to do what needs to be done, and that is the tires need to be widened significantly. 285s in the front, it's probably the same in the back, although at this point it doesn't, I mean the back is literally just being dragged around the entire thing, so it's a little bit less important. I've given it as much offset as I can. I'm going to make the rims out of carbon fiber, and I'm going to move it up to semi-slicks. I don't think it's going to have too many issues handling this power. It should be able to put it down without any problems. Front wheel drive is a little bit weird that way, but most of the weight is on the front. There is a big V8 transversely mounted up there, so we should be able to have decent traction is what I'm trying to say. In terms of the actual like stance, I'm gonna have to make some changes to that, but we'll use some of the extra stuff for that instead. I'm gonna maximize the brakes in the front and pretty much max in the back. This is basically just in service of being able to drive fast without it exploding. Alright, fixtures. Actually, no, suspension. Hold on a minute. This is way too tall. Down she goes. As far down as humanly possible, please and thank you. Raise that quality. I want it touching the ground. If you've been watching this channel for any length of time, then you know that I am a huge fan of way oversized fenders, mostly big box flares and stuff. That's very much my thing. How wide should we go? I have a lot of ideas. I'm gonna change my name officially to Andrew J. Width because everything I make has more than enough width. Take a look at that back wheel. That is beautiful. This is in the realm of, I don't know. This is supercar stuff here. That's absolutely massive. I kind of, we gotta be able to get bigger wheels on it somehow. Come on, game, please. Some of you may be wondering why I'm doing this and why I've created this car to be so ridiculous. And it might not be the most practical hill climb racer that you've ever seen, but honestly, I'm going more for style than I am for anything else, and I just want it to look crazy. Also, time is, as always, of the essence, and I really just want to make something dumb. That's what I do best. So there are multiple ways to raise and lower a car in the advanced settings. One of the easiest ones is literally just to drop the actual body itself instead of the suspension, because yeah, it's gonna basically drop the thing like a rock. I want it to be basically as close to the ground as we can get without the suspension complaining that it's gonna bottom out, because that's just what suspension does in this game. Now, taking a look at this, obviously we have a little bit too much fender, but I kind of like it. I'm gonna have to make some changes, obviously, but that is low and slammed. This van is gonna rip so hard. I'm very excited. So lately I've been flying through the builds, especially in terms of the actual design of things, and I'm gonna slow down a little bit for this one. I want you to kind of see what my thought process is on some of this weird stuff, because I don't want you to see the end result and be like, what the heck has he done? I'm hopeful that you'll be interested in the process, and trusting the process too, because yeah, I don't know. My designs can be a little bit outlandish, to say the least. So we can easily make this car front wheel or all-wheel drive just by clicking this button. I'm actually just going to swap it to dual clutch real quick. Actually, you know what? Let's make it manual. I think I should probably be the one trying to shift this beast up the hill. Also, LSD. That's going to be extremely important. Although now that I think about it, I'm turning it into an EV, aren't I? So it's going to be completely different no matter what I do. By the way, EV is literally just this in the chat, or in the text or trim description. Boom, we got it. Alright, this small chin spoiler ain't gonna do neither. Actually, I'm gonna keep that. But these fog lights, yeah, that ain't gonna do either. I'm just gonna take this and increase the size of it dramatically. So it's like this huge encompassing big grille piece, because at this point I feel like the car is gonna need as much Aero stuff as it can get, including having a transparent grille, which we can see the engine from. Most hill climb cars are turbo because of the air pressure change as things go up. So then electric cars kind of make a lot of sense for hill climb because, yeah, there's no loss of power when you're going higher elevations, at least in theory. And, well, I mean, they might lose cooling potential, but it's kind of an interesting thing. Like, that's sort of why I like hill climb stuff, just because of the elevation change adding a whole new dimension to the race itself, and the race changes as you go up the hill, which is really cool. Superfast Matt has a really good video on hill climb stuff. Actually, he has multiple. So I would suggest checking those out if you're interested in Pikes Peak and records and things like that. Yeah, it's just cool stuff. I've admitted this on this channel before, and the reality is I don't have a lot of time to watch motorsport, so it's always channels like that where I'm catching up on the things that are going on. And yeah, I mean, I like to watch WRC highlights. That's about as far as I get. Okay, roof racks are coming off. We need extreme precision here. I'm going to do a little bit of trimming. We don't need that. Door handles on the back. I'm going to keep those for aesthetic purposes, but I took out the back seats there, as you can see. We have a huge chin splitter because I think that chin splitters are really cool, and I wanted to add one to this. The color isn't quite right. I'm going to have to change it. We're probably going to have to paint most of the stuff on the front black, otherwise it's not really going to fit the way I want it to. Even the fenders themselves, probably going dark colors. Age-old trick, I do this often, and it's because it works way too well. Take some splitter and mirror it and slap it on your doors in this game, and there you go. Now you have a sort of makeshift side skirt. The thing is huge. but it works. It's really darn cool as well. Okay, while I'm working on the Aero package, obviously we gotta do something about the back end. We're gonna need a diffuser of some kind, some like big diffuser piece, most likely. Let's steal one straight off of an F1 car because I think that's cool. That is so ridiculously off. I absolutely love it. Let's do, oh man, let's do this. So we're going, I'm gonna make these the ones that like slightly turn to the side. You can see that. And then we're gonna put the exhaust straight out the middle, I think, to kind of fill this hole. Let me see what I can do with that. Oh wait, it actually doesn't need any exhaust because all that stuff is gonna be deleted when I export it into BeamNG. So, yeah, doesn't matter apparently. Oh well, okay, I'll have to put something there that isn't exhaust? Man, what do electric cars have? Fancy rain lights. Ah, yes, that's exactly what we need. The fanciest of rain lights. The biggest of rain lights for some reason. That is huge. I want this to look like a Grand Caravan that somebody just took to a hill climb for no reason. That's pretty much my goal, and I think I'm kind of succeeding in that. Obviously, it's been heavily modified, but there's still more to do. We're lacking something significant. Where the heck is the giant wing? Come on now. I have used this wing many times, and that's because I love it. It fits perfectly on these sort of hatch vehicles, and it is massive beyond all comparison. That is probably too big, and it sticks out too far, and all this stuff about aerodynamics that I don't understand. But it works, and it looks cool. That's pretty much all I care about. Yeah, this ain't your grandmother's Grand Caravan at this point. It's been heavily modified, just a little bit. So the side skirts and stuff are all made out of very shiny and lovely carbon fiber. The van itself is red because I think that's extremely cool, and the wheels are carbon fiber as well because they're carbon fiber. I want things to be carbon fiber. Now, I like the way that this looks overall, and I'm kind of thinking we might be done with it? I don't know. Is that eye-catching enough? Should I just try and do a livery? This never works out the way I want it to. Alright, you know what? Heck it to the sponsorships. I'm not going to do that this time. I've done too many liveries recently, and I think it's going to be perfect the way it is. Now, that being said, top speed is actually not that much faster than it was. I don't know how that happened. We're rocking 1,289 kilos. We've actually almost lost 1,000. That's like 800 loss right there. But I have some weight cutting to do still because the interior, I mean, we don't need all these seats. We don't need much actually at all. Let's get rid of the entertainment and stuff like that. We don't need any of it. I don't know here. I'm going to do a manual rack and pinion. I'm going to give myself the traction aids that are necessary, but the problem is that we'll have to see. Safety, I'm just going to leave it as standard. We'll just kind of assume that the way that it's set up, it has a roll cage and things like that, so it's safe on Pikes Peak. That alone has cut the weight down by an additional 310 kilos there, so yeah, officially I have dropped over 1,000. In fact, I have dropped 1,070 kilos off of this van. It is significantly lighter. The weight has been cut in half, and if nothing else, that should make it considerably faster. So what I learned last time with electric vehicles is I think the spacing has to be pretty high, and the top speed has to kind of be a little bit more realistic. We need to lower it down a little bit, so I'm going to cap this at like 250. I might have to come back into here and change that. That might not be enough, but it should be okay for what I'm trying to do. Like, we're trying to go up a hill, so it's a little bit different than trying to do a drag race or a long course or something like that. It doesn't need a super long run up. We just need really solid acceleration. We might have to modify some gears to get there, but we'll see. Is this going to be the world's first EV Hemi here? I'm going to beat Dodge to the punch. Okay, everything else I think is good, although now that I see it, I could probably get a little bit more width out of this thing. That is wide. I'm liking the look of this van. This kind of van, I would be extremely embarrassed to pull up to the preschool in this with my daughter in the back. Alright, let's take a look at the brake graphs. It looks like we actually have enough brakes already. Max load here is good. Our rear brakes are massive, far, far bigger than they need to be. I'm still going to jump it up to carbon ceramic, and I'm going to do 6-piston as well at the front, which is way overkill. We'll keep it carbon ceramic at the back too. Might cut a little bit of weight still with the 2. We probably don't need 6 in the back. That's kind of insane. It doesn't weigh anywhere near as much as it used to, so we should be good. So under tray, I did not do anything with this yet. This is going to actually add quite a bit of weight to our thing, but we're going to go for a full race diffuser with active wing as well. And that's going to give us a decent amount of downforce at 250. Not bad, actually. This is not bad. I think I'll just leave it as is. I don't want to get too crazy with the Aero because otherwise it's going to be way off. Okay, with that setup, the brakes are actually a little bit too weak, possibly. Should be okay, but I'm going to increase the size of them if I can anyways. Alright, suspension tweaks and stuff. For whatever reason, sportiness is actually 76. That is not good at all. Possibly due to the back wheels being too large. Yeah, it seems like they're going to complain excessively about that. There you go. It thinks the back wheels should be 215s or so, which is very small compared to the rest. I guess we can go for some big front meat and then some smaller rear stuff, but I don't want to do that too much. So I'm going to make some compromises. Something around here, but we'll give this the most offset it can have. So a couple sizes down, but still better sportiness. Hopefully that's decent. The short gearing and stuff it's going to complain about. The game doesn't know what I'm doing, so it's okay. And with that, I think we're ready to try this thing out in BeamNG. It's time to see how it does on Pikes Peak, or at least with a little bit of a setup, because I need to practice and make sure that this thing actually runs well. We might have to jump back into automation a few times to fix it. Let's get to it. Alright, so here is the van in Pikes Peak, and yeah, so far so good. I just took it a little bit of a distance. I just briefly drove from there to here to make sure it actually works, and it is indeed an EV, so sorry you won't hear any engine noise in this video. That being said, our entire drivetrain system is gone, and I believe what it does is it offsets the weight of it, just basically adding weight approximate to what the engine would be to make up for the difference. But I don't really know. That being said, we are pretty fast off the line. We're actually not as fast as I was hoping we would be. The noise that this thing makes is weird. And by that I mean it makes no noise, so I can hear the wind noise in BeamNG, which is not something I'm used to. Now, my gearing kind of doesn't make that much sense now that I think about it, but as we're coasting around a 150, I might have been able to cap it around 200 to say that that's good enough. But you can see that this is not slow at all going up Pikes Peak. This feels good, actually. It feels quite good. I'm really not a good tuner in automation, and not in BeamNG either. I haven't really spent a lot of time figuring out how to do it right. So whenever I'm driving one of my own cars, I can be like, oh, this feels great. And then I drive somebody else's who actually knows what they're doing. And I'm like, wow, this car is on rails compared to my stuff. Which reminds me, we should probably do a showcase soon, but I keep teasing it. And the reality is I have nothing big planned. I have to get through a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm working on before we can actually take on any new challenges. And that's really the biggest struggle for me. I really like kind of jumping into new projects, and sometimes that means I don't finish them. Like right now I'm working in my basement. I'm trying to do a bit of a room renovation, setting up for the future in this office, which is not mine anymore. It's going to be my daughter's bedroom. And basically, oh, see, this is the problem. When we lose speed, we're accelerating so slow. But yeah, basically what's going on is I got to finish that, and then we can start doing showcase stuff, and then we can get into more other like detailed projects and things. I'm basically taking a break for that for the next week's sim rig stuff, but even then it's a little bit of hackery because I guess that's where I'm at these days. So yeah, if you don't see me hitting the apex perfect just yet, don't worry, I'll get there soon. I'm hopeful to do more videos building stuff in real life, because honestly I really love working with my hands and building things. That's something I'm good at. In real life, I can be confident in saying that, considering the amount of things that I've made. My second channel is a good testament to that. That being said, I'm hopeful that I can bring that to the main channel, and you guys can see what kind of weird stuff I can make. Even if it's not of the absolute best quality, it's more like the idea that counts for me. So, talking about the van, it is very red, but it actually looks really orange in the light here. This track takes a while to climb up, which is why I've kind of just been doing it. I just wanted to see how things would go here. Now, what I would say is whatever I can do to get the gearing to be a little bit shorter would definitely help, especially around some of these hairpins. But the top speed stuff is actually pretty nice. This type of EV is like a CVT level, like it's one gear and nothing else. You can see that our RPM limit went way up as well. It used to be 6,400 and now it's over 8,000, like 8,500 there. Oh, I always go off on this corner. Oh no! Front wheel drive, don't fail me now. We're beached. So instead of just climbing the hill and kind of seeing how things go, we may as well jump into the tuning settings and make some adjustments. We have aerodynamics, we have chassis stuff, including our battery level. Regenerative braking, I'm gonna turn that down. It's a little bit strong right now, so yeah, we don't need that. Torque split, we don't have any power to the rear, so it doesn't make any sense to adjust that. Everything else here seems fine, except we could probably use a bit more tire pressure. Offsets and everything seem good. I don't feel the need to change any of that. And I believe in this stuff here, we can change some other things. We got EV stuff, electronic assist. We can change to the EV Hemi, actually. We can change it right back to the engine. Is that actually going to work? Oh no, now we're going to have to change a bunch of other stuff because it doesn't have any gas tank or anything like that. It's got a battery. But that's really cool. So basically what we're doing by changing it to be an EV and automation is just making this adjustment ahead of time. So yeah. So going back here, engine structure, engine mesh. Oh, we can actually give it a mesh. And exhaust is not really necessary, but I guess we can give it that too. Why not? Doesn't look like we have any options for differential change. Oh, as I say that, would you look at this? We can change the front drive ratio to be race, and then we can likely adjust it in the tuning. That's going to be cool. Let me see if that actually does anything. Oh, no way. We can change the wheels in these cars? I didn't even realize this was a thing. Oh, I should definitely be playing around with this stuff more. Okay, for now, I'm going to keep things simple. Back to the tuning. We should be able to tune that thing there, if I can find it. Yikes, I'm an idiot. It's right here. So our final drive ratio is what all we can adjust here. 4.74 to 1. Man, I gotta read up on my gearing, but if we increase that, should that increase our acceleration or decrease? You probably know in the comments, but I'm about to find out. So I got it up to 6, whatever it is, 6.07. Let's see if this actually makes any difference to our acceleration. Oh yeah, actually it does. But our top speed is likely to be affected. That is way quicker. Oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah, maybe my final drive ratio was a little bit too long before because we're getting up to speed a lot faster with this setup. So maybe approximately 6 to 1 is a little bit better for what I'm aiming for here. Because if you have a crazy acceleration factor, then it just makes a lot more sense on Pikes Peak. Obviously, you carry a lot of speed through this track, but it's not like a regular racetrack. It's all corners and all cornering. Stuff like these hairpins, like you gotta be better than I am. Okay. Alrighty then. But yeah, no, I could do a lot better than this. Yeah, that is much faster acceleration, much better. So thank you for the tip on the last video that I made about this. Somebody had suggested I change it in BeamNG, and I did. It worked. I appreciate it. Boys, I want to get up to the top of the mountain before we finish this, so we got some time left before we get there. And as fast as this car is, I think we're only like halfway when we reach these trees, so there's some time left. Thankfully, it is quicker than it was. Let's start another discussion in the comments. I really enjoyed the last one about electric cars and EVs and stuff. Obviously, I have my own opinion on things, and my opinion is just my opinion at the end of the day. I mean, I can't have a legion of people following me around and telling me that my opinion is correct. Also, we actually have exhaust now, even though it's completely pointless. I maybe shouldn't have added that back in. Okay, so I may or may not have accidentally reset myself all the way back to where I previously was and had to do all of that part of the track again. But yeah, don't worry about it. By the way, this is a mod map. If you're wondering, you just look up Pikes Peak on the BeamNG repository and you will find it fairly easily. There's no need to worry about that. But yeah, discussions, things that are interesting. I don't know, man. There's so much stuff going on in the car world these days. I do feel like EVs are getting pushed really darn hard at the moment, and I still believe that hybrids and plug-in hybrids are the best compromise that we can come up with. At least right now, I wouldn't invest in an EV, especially because prices are probably going to come down quite drastically. But I kind of wanted to set up an interesting question that I've been thinking about a lot recently, and that is foreign car markets in North America and also Europe by extension. What do you think about like Chinese cars and Chinese built cars coming into different countries and sort of expanding out of China into different markets? Generally speaking, they can be quite a bit cheaper than the competition around here. A lot of that comes down to the labor in China is quite a bit cheaper than it is around here to make things. But it's an interesting discussion on a number of levels. Basically, like China kind of has a reputation, especially around here, for making stuff that isn't great. Ooh. But I don't believe that's always the case. Like, it really is seemingly a lot of more popular Chinese manufacturers that are making really crappy stuff, and that it infects the entire image of the country in a lot of ways. Also, the government, but like, yikes, that's a whole other ordeal. I just wonder about the like long-term quality of these new products, and like these manufacturers are obviously new to North America as an example, and this is something I've thought about before where like when Hyundai and when even Japanese manufacturers first started off here, their cars were rusting away pretty quickly. Yeah, we're actually almost at the top of the mountain, by the way. And I think it's just because they weren't prepared for the conditions that cars have to endure here. And the legacy manufacturers, even the Japanese and Korean ones that we have now, are used to that. It took Hyundai a really long time to make cars that are decent. And I like Hyundai quite a bit. I have one. But, oh goodness, I'm way off course. But it took them a long time before their cars were actually decent and before they could build up any sort of following and before the stuff that they were making was better or at the same level as the domestic manufacturers or the Japanese even. And I just think that there's going to be that sort of period of time for Chinese manufacturers too. So say they bring over their cars here, they're going to be cheaper, hopefully. They're very likely to be cheaper in order to break into the market. And then what's going to happen is the long-term longevity of these cars is truly going to be tested. Hey, maybe they'll hold up, maybe they'll be really good, but I'm quite curious to see how that goes. And then maybe, who knows, we'll have an even more competitive car market in the future, if cars are even a thing in the future, where we have a lot of manufacturers from all over the globe sending up cars here to try their luck, I guess, in the manufacturing sphere that is the automotive industry. Also, this thing is so low, it is absolutely useless off-road. Complete garbage. I think it's kind of good that we're able to get competition for things, and it's good to have competition in the markets as well, because otherwise other manufacturers will just run free. One of the things that I've been noticing a lot recently is that cars are just exceptionally expensive these days. Like, brand new cars are so pricey, it's ridiculous. And the used market is not much better, because when the new ones get expensive, people will gouge you for the used ones. It comes from a lot of different things. Obviously, EVs are more expensive to make than their ICE counterparts at the moment, but eventually they'll get cheaper, hopefully, and maybe they'll be able to compete with ICE in terms of manufacturing costs. Obviously, we've had a lot of time to perfect that and make it cheaper over time, but electric cars not as much unless you're Tesla. But yeah, as we get to the top of the mountain, it's just kind of an idea that I had. Figured we may as well talk about something important in the car industry as we're moving up the mountain here. And I believe that is it. I have climbed Pikes Peak with only like 20 resets because I kept flying off the track in a minivan. What do you think? What do you think of this van? What do you think of my questions I proposed? Let me know in the comments. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. But yeah, we actually made it all the way to the top. That skybox is abruptly cut over there. And that concludes this video. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and I will see you guys again very, very soon. But first, we're gonna have to drop this off the side of a mountain. This is lame. I need a cliff. Give me something harsh. Well, that's about as harsh as she gets. This thing is rigid, man. This van is very, very stiff. Oh, it's so cool, though. Alright, see you again soon. It's time that I thank those who have chosen to support this channel via the join button. I appreciate you guys a lot, and I figured that it's important to call you out in every single automation video that I do. Probably going to take a break from this for the next one because it's not an automation video, but you can bet your butts that you'll be back in on the next one. So, we have Overlord, Terry01, Sinlab, J. Pope, Davis Heister, Baja Blast, Goofy Plays, Phoenix Shark, Badger, Mancini Country, Shadow Jasper, Ilook, Ven, High Milk, without the L, Hymick. Thanks everybody for the support. Appreciate you a lot. And yeah, the sock is actually staying on my mic thanks to some feedback, especially Rob. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. As long as people are noticing. And didn't actually notice many comments about it, so seems like it's a good option, and I'm not seeing any big spikes with S's or anything, so yeah. There is a yellow Vans sock on my mic, and that has saved my channel in some ways. See you guys again soon.